Hello everyone, this is the Sports Spiral. Happy New Year, and today I'm going to be recapping Week 16 of the NFL. I know this video is a bit late, but I've just been busy on Christmas break, winter break. So, yeah, I'm just going to get right into this and review all of the games, and I'll have the picks for tomorrow too for the NFL Week 17. So let's start out with the Christmas game where the Saints dominated the Vikings 52-33, a very high scoring game. And this has been the theme all year for the NFL. Lots of high scoring games, blowouts more than ever, I feel like, but maybe we have had some in the past. Alvin Kamara, he was wearing those Christmas suits. He had one red and one green, and he had a record game. He tied the NFL rushing record. He rushed for 155 yards and 6 touchdowns, and he's the one that carried them to the win because Drew Brees was not the best. 19 of 26 for 311, 2 interceptions. He's not the best for Drew Brees. But on the Vikings side, they were pretty good offensively, just bad defense. Cousins threw for 291 and 3 touchdowns. Cook rushed for 73 and a touchdown, but not enough as the Saints put up a ton of points to win and move to 11-4. Then on Saturday, we had the Buccaneers, another domination, high scoring. Well, at least one team was high scoring, 47-7 over the Detroit Lions. And I thought I knew that the Buccaneers would be able to score a lot in this one. The Lions' defense haven't looked very good, but I thought the Lions could score more. So a very good performance from the Buccaneers. Tom Brady threw for 348 and 4 touchdowns. I think they benched him, well, because he was doing so good. Not a bad benching after the first half. And Vaughn rushed for 62 yards for the Buccaneers. And for the Lions, they used some different quarterbacks, I believe, but I'm not completely sure. It was a while ago now. I believe that Stafford was injured, so they used multiple quarterbacks. And so, Stafford was injured, and they lost 47-7, a rough day for the Lions. Then we had the 49ers upsetting the Cardinals 20-12. Both of these teams have been very inconsistent. They've looked good at some points, but they haven't been able to hold that. Beathard threw for 3 touchdowns, 182 yards for the 49ers. He looks good. Wilson rushed for 183, and Murray, he threw 50 times, 31 and 50 for 247 yards and a pick. And he also rushed it 8 times for 75 yards, but none of it was enough to get him the win. Looking at the stats, you'd think it would be high scoring, but it is low scoring. 20-12, the 49ers prevail in that one. Then we have the Miami Dolphins winning a close, good game over the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders are now out of the playoff, and 26-25 was the score. For the Dolphins again, they were switching between Fitzpatrick and Tua. Tua might be more accurate and not throw as many interceptions, but Fitzpatrick gives them more explosiveness. And Fitzpatrick was 9 of 13 for 182 and a touchdown. Gaskin rushed for 87 yards. And for the Las Vegas Raiders, Derek Carr was 21 of 34, threw for 336 and a touchdown. He was back after that groin injury. I thought that might be a little longer of an absence for him, but he's back for the next game. And Jacobs rushed for 69 yards, but the Las Vegas Raiders are out of the playoff. Then we have the Sunday games where the Chiefs were barely able to win over the Falcons. The Falcons played great defense. The Chiefs were only able to score 17 points, but in the end, a huge missed field goal gives the Chiefs the victory 17-14 in a close game. Matt Ryan looks pretty good for the Falcons. He threw for 302 touchdowns, and Mahomes 2 touchdowns and an interception. But the Chiefs slipped by the Falcons 17-14 in that one. Then we have the Jets winning 2 in a row from winless to 2-13. They win 23-16, upsetting the Browns and keeping them out of the playoff for now. Mayfield threw for 285. Darnold threw for 2 touchdowns. He's starting to look better on these wins. Chubb rushed for a touchdown. And so, yeah, the Jets, it's a quarterback. They won this game, obviously, so they can at least win some games. It might be because they're not purposely tanking now that they don't have the top pick. But, so, yeah, the Jets win 2 games in a row. Then we have the Steelers snapping their losing streak of 3 and beating the Colts with a comeback 28-24. Rivers threw for 270 yards, a touchdown and an interception. Roethlisberger was pretty good, throwing for 341 and 3 touchdowns. Connell rushed for a touchdown for the Steelers, and Jonathan Taylor rushed for 2 touchdowns for the Colts. He's been good in the past 2 games. But the Colts, I believe this means they are out of the playoff for now, but not officially. They can win the game and get in. So, yeah, the playoff picture is beginning to become clearer, but we are going to have to see what happens next week, too. And then we have the Ravens winning over the Giants. They, I think, are in the playoff for now, but they need to win next week. This game was exactly as my score predicted. It was 27-13. The Ravens moved to 10-5. The Giants dropped to 5-10. By the way, speaking of my predictions, I was 10-6 for this week, so pretty good. And Jackson threw for 2 touchdowns. Gus Edwards, he rushed for 85 yards for the Ravens. And for the Giants, Jones was back in and he threw for 252 and a touchdown, but in the end the Ravens win 27-13. Let's move on to the next game, which is the Jaguars versus the Bears. The Jaguars were blown out. They're probably purposely tanking in this one, and they officially have the top pick now. After they lost 41-17 to the Bears. The Bears are starting to look better now. They're 8-7, and they can get in the playoff if they beat the Packers next week. And Trubisky, 2 touchdowns. He threw for 265, and also an interception for him. The Jaguars started Glennon, and he was not very good, throwing for 2 touchdowns, but 2 interceptions. Well, Montgomery had another good day for the Bears. He rushed for 95 yards and a touchdown, and the Jaguars were without their starting running back James Robinson, so they used Ogunbowale, and he had a pretty good game rushing for 71 yards. But in the end, the Jaguars were most likely tanking. Teams are going to say they're not tanking, but yeah, but they don't have to tank next week because they officially have the top pick of the NFL draft thanks to their loss, and the Jets win. So then we have the Bengals versus the Texans, and the Bengals have now won 2 in a row after a 37-31 high-scoring win over the Texans. They moved to 4-10-1, and Allen threw for 371 and 2 touchdowns for the Bengals. Perine rushed for 95 yards and 2 touchdowns for them, and Deshaun Watson threw for 3 touchdowns, and Johnson rushed for another touchdown for the Texans, but it's not enough to beat the Bengals, who won that one 37-31. Then we have the Chargers, who slipped by the Broncos 19-16. and Drew Lock was picked off 2 times by a Charger defense that had struggled a bit early on the season, but they're starting to be a little better here. Justin Herbert had another good game, throwing for 253 and a touchdown. And yeah, the quarterback's getting most of the yards there in that one. The running backs, Gordon rushed for 79 yards for the Broncos, and Eckler rushed for 45 yards. And the Chargers moved to 6-9 for the season. Next up, the Panthers beat the Washington football team 20-13 as Ron Rivera's old team beat his new one. And Dwayne Haskins was not very good. Again, he threw for 2 interceptions. And after this game, he was cut from the team. Teddy Bridgewater, he was 19 of 28. He threw for 197, a touchdown and an interception. And the running back Samuel rushed for 52 yards for the Panthers. And Gibson rushed for 61 yards for Washington. And because of Washington's loss, they couldn't get into the playoff in that division with the Cowboys, Eagles, Giants. It's still up for grabs. So then we have the Cowboys. They took on the Eagles, and their season has definitely been a roller coaster this year. They dominated the Eagles, who have looked good recently, 37-17, and Jalen Hurts finally made some mistakes for the Eagles. He threw 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions. For the Cowboys, Dalton threw for 377, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. Ezekiel Elliott had a good game too. He rushed for 105, and Jalen Hurts rushed for 69 yards in the Eagles' loss. And yep, like I said earlier, the Cowboys can still win that division. That it's up for grabs. 3 out of the 4 teams can get it. Then we had the Seahawks versus the Rams. This was a good low-scoring game to start out, but then the Seahawks offense was able to win the game. Goff was injured in this game. He had a thumb injury, and I believe he'll be out for the next game. He was 24 of 43 for 234 and an interception. Russell Wilson threw for a touchdown, and Darrell Henderson rushed for 62 yards for the Rams, and Carlson rushed for 69 yards for the Seahawks. Then we had another game that was not a very close one. We have the Packers winning 40-14 over the Titans in a game that was supposed to be a pretty good game on Sunday night. And this was a snowy game in Green Bay, and that is where the Packers do well. They win 40-14, as I previously mentioned. Aaron Rodgers had another great game, boosting his MVP potential. He threw for 4 touchdowns and an interception. Tannehill did not do the best, 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions. This Packers defense looked pretty good in the snow, and they even held Derrick Henry in check. He rushed for 98 yards on 23 carries, and the Packers running back Dillon did a great job rushing for 124 and 2 touchdowns to help them get their blowout win. Then on Monday night, we had another blowout win. The Bills all over the Patriots, 38-9. The Patriots continue to struggle. Last week they were out of the playoff. This week they're just really struggling, and the Bills are looking really good. I know they haven't done good historically, but last season they were pretty good, and this season they're even better. And Josh Allen is looking really good. He threw for 4 touchdowns, and his rushing abilities are looking pretty good too. Moss rushed for 57 yards and a touchdown for the Bills, and for the Patriots, they used Cam Newton to start out, but then they had to move to Jarrett Stidham because Newton was struggling, and Stidham was not very good. 4 of 11 for 44 yards, and Sony Michel, 10 carries for 69 yards for the Patriots. and it is a blowout win for the Bills, 38-9, and they are looking like real contenders here. Even in the playoff, I think they should be able to do pretty well. So that is going to do it for this video. Please make sure to subscribe, like, and check out some of my other videos. And this is the Sports Spiral. Bye.